It's the bye week, and there's things to reflect upon, including, are these receivers getting open? What's up with the defensive backs? And what positive things are happening? We're going to explore that today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Substack, co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, co-host of the NFL First Read Podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. I want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Locked On Bills is a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Well, folks, welcome in. It's the bye week, and if you have been an everydayer for a number of years, you know that during the bye week, I like to speak to some friends. One of them, Nate Geary of WGR 550. Gracious for you to come on here. I appreciate that, and excited to just get into some organic discussion with you about some of the elements of this football team. Welcome in, Nate.
Thanks for having me, man. Next year, I think what I'd like to do is have like the Masters music with the Nance "Hello, friends, hello again, friends," because this is the the yearly appearance, and it's as annual as the Masters at this point. So,
well, that's 5 seconds. You got into some golf, so well done. Well, I think the betting odds were at 7.5 seconds, and the under hit. So we'll see if we'll see where that lands next year. But man, there's a lot to get into, and one thing that I have done to get us ready for this conversation is just simply say, hey, dude, what are you passionate about? What do you want to talk about with this team? And let's talk about it. And you gave me 3 things, and we're going to talk about those 3 things. And I want to start with separation. That's what you put down first. And there's a lot of conversations about separation. And
sure,
are these players open for Josh Allen? Do the Bills have route runners? And so what's burning up your mind when it comes to separation and the lack thereof potentially?
So first and foremost, I want to appreciate you for a second because, after my Monday night post-game show, my phone had been blowing up for appearances on podcasts and radio shows. And I think it's mostly because people want me to blow up and freak out about the game. I'm over it now. But, it's what I love about doing post-game is it's a little bit of an unfiltered look of I just watched that game and now I get to react to it. I think there has been this sense, Joe, over the last couple of weeks, especially I would say let's look at the last 4 weeks, right? Which I know is basically the majority of the start of the season. But the Dolphins, the Saints, the Patriots, and of course last week the Atlanta Falcons, which I also want to give some credit. I thought the Atlanta Falcons, Jeff Ulbrich defense was really prepared for what the Bills were going to do to them. And you heard Sean McDermott talk about it coming out of the half, that the Bills have to remain, they can't be one-dimensional. They have to have both of their dimensions if they're going to come back and win that game. And I thought that first drive, the script on the first drive of the second half, really leaned in on that, right? I mean, I think that was the most effective drive we saw from the run game. But I thought that Atlanta didn't necessarily create some sort of blueprint, right? I heard, it might have even been you, a couple of other people, Dan Orlovsky, talk about the confusion around not getting Keon Coleman away from their number one corner and onto a guy like Mike Hilton, moving him around, creating some more matchups. One area that, I think for me has been a concern around separation as like the overarching concern, but I have had issues with how Joe Brady has been deploying his personnel packages. I think one of the strengths, Joe, of Joe Brady in this Bills offense is the layered approach to personnel. 12, 13, 22, 21. I mean, there are so many different personnel packages, but it's not just those basic packages. It's that they can throw 12 personnel with, basically different players on snap to snap and have different looks based on the different players they're able to have within those personnel groupings. Right now, Josh Palmer, I know prior to the injury, I would have loved to see what the rest of that game had in store for us with Josh Palmer, because I think it was very obvious there was an early plan to feature him as their separator in that game, right? And I think obviously in the first play of the game, little cover 4 game that defense was running, and I thought Josh Allen did a great job manipulating that safety. He kind of pops up, and that vertical route, that the post over, was wide open. It was a great throw, great catch. I think with Palmer, it would have been interesting to see what his snap count was at the end of the game, but he's not playing enough. Dalton Kincaid is not playing enough right now. Those are your two best. Obviously, Khalil Shakir is in there as well, but right now your two most consistent separators, whether it be the boundary or the slot, are those two players. They're not playing enough. So I think part of the separation issue for me, Joe, is their separators aren't in the field enough. And in that game on Monday night, without your second best separator from the inside right now, which is Dalton Kincaid, it was all eyes on Khalil Shakir. Let's see someone else separate. And, right now, Keon Coleman is running 2 routes effectively. He's running a go route, but he's not creating enough separation to I think, garner or generate holding or pass interference calls. There's literally not enough space between him and the defenders, I think, to get calls. And then the slant route. And he's not creating enough separation there. And I think for me, this conversation around separation feels a little like deja vu. It feels like we've had this conversation 5-6 years running now. And since the longer the days from Cole Beasley and John Brown, who, I think when this team shifted from the big radius, big bodied non-separators, throw it up in 50-50 ball, to the shift to separators, guys that can get down the field, I think there was a perfect layering and a perfect match skill set wise between John Brown and Cole Beasley. And since both of those players have left the league and left this organization, they have not found the happy median that they had with those two players that were able to layer so well, both vertical and underneath routes. And as good as Khalil Shakir is out of the slot and after the catch, he is not the same nuanced route runner that Cole Beasley is. And I like Josh Palmer. I haven't seen the John Brown effect from Josh Palmer either. So all of this to say, Joe, is they do have a separation problem. Their separators aren't separating with enough consistency. And right now, I think they're playing guys like Keon Coleman too much at a position he is not built to play in the NFL. So it was long-winded. I have a lot of concerns about them going the rest of the way this season with this group as is. But the Bills may not have a lot of options at their disposal with the cap space they currently have. And their general manager is going to have to be willing to mortgage part of their future if they want to get a guy like Chris Olave or Rashid Shaheed. Or I'm not a big fan of the conversation around Jacoby Myers. He has a lot of what they already have.
Yeah, I agree with that
roster. So yeah, I don't know that help is on the way, Joe, but I do think that Joe Brady, this offense, Josh Allen, there are things they can do better with the players currently here that I don't think we've quite seen yet.
Yeah, I think you make some good points there, Nate. And I think we're always going to be a little bit victim to the last exposure we had, which was the Falcons game. And they are without Kincaid and Palmer, which are 2 of your 3 best separators. And so I think you would expect there to not be as much separation in a game like that. But I think there's a difference between separation and people being open, because I think that this scheme is very much designed by scheme to get players open, not as much because of where they're going to route up somebody like under Dayball when you have Stephon Diggs. It's like, all right, you're isolated up, you're going to get cooked. There's going to be space, right? It's a little bit more, okay, we're going to run concepts that get people open. And so I think that's an important layer to this. But I think that puts a little bit of stress, obviously, on Josh Allen to have his eyes in the right place and to make the right decision with the football. And I think mostly he does a good job of that. But when the pressure piece exists like it did against Atlanta, where he's blitzed on 60% of dropbacks and his blitz, they're pressured on, I don't know, a high 40% of them. And you're making some protection choices at the expense of eligibles, and it didn't marry up, and your quarterback's eyes aren't in the right place. You're not getting to your answers, and you get a disjointed looking offense. And so I think what this comes down to is you have to optimize what you have, right? And so I think that's where the onus comes on Joe Brady to do that with consistency. And I thought he did for 4 weeks, and maybe there were some execution things within those 4 weeks where Yeah, okay. There's some lulls or some disappointing drive enders, but okay, that's fixable. The last 2 weeks, I think he got away from it. Where against New England, for him to not throw the ball more out of 2 back and 2 tight end stuff was crazy to me based on what New England's missing in the middle of the field in terms of coverage and safeties. This past week, you had the smallest front in the league in Atlanta, and it took you a half of football to figure out that you got to gap scheme them up in the run game and build your passing offense off of that. And so, yeah, I agree that the Bills are not a great offense in terms of separation. I think there's some choices that they make there, but ultimately that makes it more important than ever to have the right plans and to call the right plays and deploy your personnel to optimize its effectiveness. And I think you can look at whether it's Keon Coleman, whether it's needing more Josh Palmer, more Kincaid, more Cook, more not necessarily in the run game, but also in the passing game for him to be a mismatch player. It's maybe it's an over exaggeration or not, but I do think that you can easily point your finger at some things here and feel like there's a lot of meat on the bone for how you can present better options to Josh Allen in the passing game.
There's no question to me there has been less creativity around utilizing the backs that they have, right? And I think for me, James Cook needs to be at minimum week in and week out around that 4 or 5 target number each and every week. I think Ty Johnson should be at that 2 to 3 to 4 target number each and every week. I mean, those are 2, I think, highly skilled weapons out of your backfield that right now, frankly, through 6 weeks, they're not utilizing. And I think there could be some reasons for that, right? I think that there is I think there's a real desire to try to get Keon Coleman going. Some of the play calls, getting him into what he's comfortable with right now, which is that, that kind of back shoulder 9 route. It's not there, Joe. It's not. And doing it on 1st and 10, I don't love.
Over AJ Terrell and over Christian Gonzalez. That's a no. That you can't throw it. I see that matchup and I don't throw it. It's not on the menu for me.
It's not only that I don't throw it, I'm not even sure why I'm scheming it. But to your point, there is, I don't know, and this is a tough hat for me to put on, whether it's Allen or it's Joe Brady or a slight mixture of both. They're trying to get him going. I think they need to get Keon Coleman going. And the trust is whittling away with every one of those reps, Joe. When Josh is making that throw to his back shoulder, there's a high level of timing, anticipation, but the third part of that formula is trust. And right now, the other 2 pieces, the timing and anticipation of throw, they're not executing it well. It's not just that he's covered. It's also that the throw hasn't been in a great spot. They've been off time and off kilter. So with those other 2, ingredients to making that play successful, failing, the third most important part of that equation, the trust piece, is now whittling away. So I have a lot of issues with A, the matchups that they've been trying to exploit, and B, why it's taking them, now we're talking about this, the bye week going into week 8 when they get back, for them to get their best weapons engaged in the game more instead of trying to get guys open. And I think Keon can really benefit from a passing game that's having success with running backs and over the middle of the field with Keon or with Dalton Kincaid, because I think that's where the strength of this passing offense is right now. And we heard it in the first couple of games, Josh taking what the defense gives him, taking those layups. Those layups to me are to Ty Johnson and James Cook. So I would be, if I was a betting man, I'm probably going to put James Cook's touches at over 20, and I would include at least 3 or 4 of those in the pass game when they get back against Carolina.
13.9% of the Bills' targets are to running backs. That's 29th in the NFL. It was
not enough.
15% last year, which was, I think, 24th. And it's not enough. And it doesn't always have to be mesh rail, right? You don't have to just, they can do more than just run the rail route, man.
I also think Josh missed Cook twice.
Oh, yeah. He had it. Yeah, he didn't take it.
And the little flip play was about as disjointed, bad timing, bad eyes from Josh, bad execution. Yeah. He had him on a play earlier in the game, too, on that little wheel route where that ball's got to be out at the top of the drop. He waited. It got covered. And on that I think it was 4th down, right? It was the 3rd down play. I think it was Ty Johnson. He tries to do a 25-yard flip. And Josh, I love you. It's part of your game. You're not going to complete a pass 25 yards down the field with your thumb on the ground.
All right. More separation, more targets to running backs. We're going to talk about the regression of defensive backs here on the other side of it. So, folks, be sure to stick with us.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and you're going to get $300 if you win in bonus bets. That's right. Pick a bet, put $5 down, and if it hits, you're going to unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I've built parlays, tried player props, and even followed the live lines during games. It just makes watching football even more exciting when you got a little something riding on the action. So whether you're a casual fan or you love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today. Joe Marino, joined by Nate Geary of WGR 550 for our annual bye-week discussion. And next up, we're going to talk about defensive back group regression. What you got here, Nate?
Yeah, group regression, I think, is the important piece to this, Joe. You and I were talking before kind of we kicked off, and we were joking about how the best content on podcasts come when the cameras are off. We were talking a little bit about, like, and I love what you said about, Christian Benford. Christian Benford hasn't all of a sudden forgotten how to play football. I think that what you're seeing as a group is, and this goes, I think, beyond the game of football. It goes in, you can look at a lot of sports, team sports. When you don't trust that the guy next to you is going to be in the right position, you start to overcompensate, you start to overthink. And I think that's really largely where the Bills are right now. Like, do I think that, Tre'Davious White knows where he should be on that play call in the fourth quarter that effectively sealed the deal with Bijan Robinson running free down the sidelines? Tre'Davious White knows where he's supposed to be. What I think in a situation like that is he doesn't trust that the person who's, trying to carry that over route is going to be in the right position. He's doing too much. And for a team and for an organization that is built around doing your 111th, I mean, it is the thing that is pounded, I think, into the brains and minds of these players. This team is not right now playing their 111th at a level that all of us are accustomed to. So I think there's a little bit of a domino effect all across this roster, Joe, especially on the defensive side of the ball. This is not, this isn't your father's Bills, whatever the reference I want to use there is. But like, this is not the Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer back end. The communication between Taylor Rapp and Cole Bishop, I mean, they look like they're on game 6 together, which is why, when Sean McDermott was talking so much in stressing the importance of Cole Bishop's availability in training camp and preseason, they're effectively on game 2 of regular season, Joe. They didn't get game 3 of the regular season. They didn't get 3 preseason games to work next to each other. They didn't get all of training camp, Joe, to work together. And the inexperience, I think that there's probably an entire podcast you could do about Taylor Rapp's play right now, because I think it's lacking in a lot of areas. But right now, Cole Bishop is taking on the identity of Taylor Rapp in a couple of ways. I love the way and how aggressive Cole Bishop plays when he's on the field. But you can see a young player that's still thinking and not immediately reacting.
Yeah.
And I think you're seeing that a lot, Joe, on this defense right now, not overthinking, less reacting. I thought Taron Johnson had his best game. Even Taron Johnson, I think, had a slow start to the season. But I thought a couple of big plays, that fourth down pass breakup, just in the right position, not holding, reading the quarterback's eyes. So I think that there were some positives in that game on Monday night, one of which being Taron Johnson. I think that the Bills are in a really tough spot with Trey White, Joe. And I don't know right now. I think they were trying to phase in Dorian Strong, and now that injury is there, and I don't know that we're going to see Dorian Strong again this year. I don't know that Maxwell Hairston, I don't know if it's fair to assume he can just get back from injury with all the time for what I just mentioned about Cole Bishop, putting that kind of pressure to sort of save the day on your rookie first round pick, I think is a little unfair. But Joe, I think that's kind of where we're sort of tunneling towards, which is if Maxwell Hairston's healthy, they're going to have to probably put him in sooner than they want to. And it's just lack of right now, unfortunately, ability. And it's not for me, Joe, that like Trey White is all of a sudden, can't hack it. He can't move. He can't play. He's still out there. He can still move to a certain extent. What is, I think, been noticeable to me is one of the reasons you felt comfortable bringing in Trey White is he understood the system. He knew his role in this defense and where he is supposed to be when he's supposed to be there. And he has not had that sharp cerebral side that I think we were all expecting. If nothing else, you're going to get the high level, thinking that and understanding of this defense. And because the athleticism's not there, the lack of cerebral play from Trey White is really exposing the athleticism that he doesn't have anymore. So right now, Joe, I think you've got a cornerback group in Benford, White, and Johnson that I think are overcompensating a little bit for the lack of trust they have on the back end. And in Trey's case, maybe the lack of trust he has in himself and
100%.
The situations that they're
I think it's that, Nate. I think it's that. I don't think he trusts himself. And so he's trying so hard to just stay leveraged over top, not get beat deep, and just come up and make some tackles, right? And well, that's mitigating, down the field plays, but it's also you're dying, on third downs. It's like, all right, well, that's where you go with the football, and they're going to convert. So I think that's really what it is. It's lack of trust in himself more than anything. Some thoughts here. The Maxwell Hairston piece of this is very difficult because he's a rookie that hasn't practiced since July 29th, and we're recording this on October 15th. That's a lot. That's a lot of time. And I don't know. I mean, he's obviously number one is getting the knee right, and I'm pretty sure that's probably pretty close. But what does it take to get a rookie ready to go in the middle of an NFL regular season?
Unsure.
And boy, I mean, there's high hopes. I've stopped short of saying expectations because I think that's unfair, but there's high hopes that he can be your answer because that is you paid Benford, you got a first round pick in Hairston. Like, what cavalry is really coming here, right? Yeah, I think you have to be honest about that. Your plan is Hairston and Benford.
It is.
The safety piece is difficult for me. I can live with variance from Bishop. I think that's to be expected.
Agreed.
The fact that there's things to celebrate is good.
Agreed.
Rapp was supposed to be the stable piece. That
the
was
leader,
the stable player, right? Yeah, you listen to these guys talk about Taylor Rapp. They love him.
Yeah,
but it's hard to reconcile what you're watching because it's nothing is good. It's not the coverage. It's not the tackling. It's the angles are off. There's nothing good happening with Taylor Rapp, and that was supposed to be your steady player. And I don't love Jordan Poyer as an answer, but I love not having Taylor Rapp on the field, even if it means Jordan Poyer. And I think that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah. I so much that I'm interested in seeing if I don't know that I could be sold that Jordan Poyer is the solution for the rest of the season, even if it means getting Taylor Rapp off the field. Joe, I know you watch film, so I'm not preaching to you, but some of the film that I've put on and watched is some of the worst film I've seen a Bills safety put on film and with Taylor Rapp. And just getting washed by Kyle Pitts, who, let's be honest, isn't exactly renowned for his downfield blocking ability, that you would feel, okay, if nothing else, we all agree that Taylor Rapp's probably not a deep third safety, right? Like, he's not your ball hawk and your back end guy. So at least, when you bring him into the box, he's going to bring that physical attitude, fill gaps, so on and so forth. I mean, as much as I want to put on Terrell Bernard, because I think he struggled as well, filling gaps. To me, there's more to Bernard. He's got to be dealing with an injury of some sort, even before the injury. He just has not looked right. Taylor Rapp looks like a player that doesn't understand his assignment at times. And, I think for me, I'm more interested in if they were willing to platoon Trey White and Dorian Strong. I've got to think they've got to be in a similar position. The way that Sean McDermott's talked about Jordan Hancock, I don't know what is going on there, but he has been uncharacteristically negative, or maybe not negative, just not positive when speaking and when he's been asked about Jordan Hancock. But man, I just have to think that just about anybody else in that room right now is a better option than Taylor Rapp. And I agree with you. I can live with the variance with Cole Bishop. I was expecting the variance, but to your point, you can point to positives. And I think that's a good piece to this. I think what he needs, Joe, if he's going to take the step into more consistent play this year, he needs a partner he can trust. And right now it's not Taylor Rapp.
No, but I that's what it spikes my interest for Poyer. I don't love the idea, but I love it better than Poyer than Rapp, excuse me. And yeah, I think that's I already hear the YouTube comments. They're saying, well, Hancock. Like, I hear you. What do we know about Hancock? He's another guy that's missed time. He's been a healthy scratch most of the year. Played slot and safety at Ohio State. I watched the tape. I saw a fast physical player that had like okay ball skills, that was not a very good man coverage player, but a better zone player. But I don't know, applying that to this defense, there's a lot to figure out there. And so, yeah, I mean, there's the hard part of the conversation is the alternative is sticking with Taylor Rapp, and he doesn't look like a playable guy to me. And
I don't think it's Joe. I'll be honest, and I'm not trying to be like dramatic about it. And I said this yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I jokingly say, like, I can't hear about gap fitting and run fitting and gap integrity and angles of pursuits and tackling anymore. To me, if you are Sean McDermott and you have to keep saying that in the media when people ask, but there's no accountability on the back end. No one's banged. To me, there was a play. I don't know if you remember this play from your watch back, Joe. The first play of the second half was a 9-yard Bijan Robinson run.
Yeah, he kept on sinking. Yeah. Go ahead.
On that play, two players, Taylor Rapp and AJ Epinesa, probably one of the worst efforts I've seen from Epinesa in terms of tackling on that play. The way that first half went, someone should be drawing the ire of the head coach. Someone needs to say, you're done. If that's the effort you're going to put in, you're done. There is an expectation. There is a level of understanding that when we trust you on the field, your effort level is the one thing we can never, you can live with an effort, high effort, and a missed tackle. Hey, he's there. He's flying 100 miles per hour. I can forgive a missed tackle, a missed assignment when the effort level, you'll hear every coach in every sport say that, Joe. As long as your motor is running 100 miles per hour and your effort's there, I can forgive mistakes. What I can't forgive is AJ Epinesa at this point in his career, the veteran he is on this roster, with that kind of effort in the second half and the first play of after a first half, he gave up 335 total yards of offense. So to me, we're talking about Rapp. To me, he's the best example of a player that right now shouldn't be on the field. And you need to make a move. Like how people talk about, in New York right now with Justin Fields, veteran players know, okay? And you can love Justin Fields. Veterans can love Justin Fields. But everybody in New York knows that Tyrod Taylor gives them a better chance to win. And what you don't want to do, you want to start seeing a crack with Sean, a real legitimate crack with Sean McDermott, and to trust his staff and his players having him, keep Taylor Rapp on the field.
Loud and clear from Mr. Nate Geary. All right, we've been negative for half an hour. Only positives here on the other side of it. Folks, be sure to stick with us. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle. Between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout, it's frustrating. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, it's easy, and it's backed by the Game Time guarantee. You always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price, plus all fees are included. So the price you see is the price you pay. I pulled up Game Time, and I love what I see there. And in fact, my favorite feature is you get a seat view. So what's important to me when I go to a concert or a game is I want to know where I'm sitting, what it's going to look like, what's going to be around me. And Game Time makes that super easy for you. And it's faster, it's cheaper, and it's less stressful than any other way that I've ever purchased tickets. So download the Game Time app today and create an account and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. I'm joined today by Nate Geary at WGR 550 for our annual bi-week conversation. And Nate, a long time ago, I had a regular job, and there was a wonderful coworker that I had, and her name was Ashley. And Ashley worked at the front desk of our office. And I made a habit of, you deal with hard things, and maybe you come out of your office and you're mad about something. And I started to do this, and I go up to Ashley and I maybe say some negative things about someone or something that we were working on. And she would always say this. She said, Joe, you said all that mean stuff. Now you have to say 3 positive things about that person or, whatever it was to make up for it. And so now, Nate, I'm going to be Ashley. You're going to be me, or I guess you in this scenario. And now you have to say nice things. You have to say positive things, at least 3 positive things about the Buffalo Bills so far, because they are 4-2.
Yep.
Yeah, they are.
Doesn't feel like
everything's in front of them, right? Like this isn't the worst football team that's ever taken the field, although that's how it feels right now. What do you like right now?
Well, obviously last week missing Dalton Kincaid was big, but I think it feels like he's emerging as a true top 5 tight end. Like a lot of us had not necessarily hoped, but almost demanded of him, right? Like, you're going to take a tight end in the first round. Well, man, he better be a difference maker. And I thought for the first 2 years of his career, he wasn't. Sale probably told me this 100 times, but I mean, he was the one guy in that building from January on. The willingness to block, the physical nature of his game that was just simply not there his first 2 seasons. And the trust that Josh Allen has. So for me, Dalton Kincaid has been a huge, huge plus for this team on offense in terms of pass catchers. The other part of this, I'm going to stick on this side before I get to the defensive side, is I think that their interior offensive line right now is playing at a tremendously high level. And I know that Josh has taken more sacks this year than they probably would have liked. I don't necessarily put a lot of that on the offensive line, or I certainly don't put it on the interior part of the offensive line. I think, Torrance and most specifically David Edwards. The concern I have, Joe, is there's probably not room on his salary cap for both of those players moving forward. And Osiris Torrance is probably going to get the bag. I mean, there's nothing better you can say about an offensive lineman is that you don't think about him. You don't hear his name. You barely notice him on the field. That is probably the best thing you could say about an interior offensive lineman. I mean, when was the last time you were watching a game and anything he's done has stood out to you? He just goes about his business. And I think David Edwards is a really strong fit schematically with what the Bills try to do on the offense side. So the interior part of this offensive line is good, and that goes without saying. Connor McGovern is, I think really separated himself amongst the other, players at his position across the league. To me, he's a top 5, top 7 center in the NFL. On the other side, Dion Walker. Obviously a lot has been made of this draft class. First top 3 picks really have not contributed either due to injury or being a healthy scratch. Man, Dion Walker is looking like the steal of the draft. And our mutual buddy John Ledyard was tweeting out the other day about how the consensus folks are going to have their day on Dion Walker because the draft community did not love Dion Walker, but the consensus draft boards all really had him not like a first round grade or anything, but notably higher than kind of draft Twitter had Dion Walker. Size, ability. He clearly was playing injured last year in Kentucky. I mean, this guy is right now. If you don't have Dion Walker playing like this, Joe, I don't know what you could salvage on that defense as positives. He is really playing at a high level in the run game, which they desperately need. I I think when Ed Oliver's back fully healthy on the other side of the bye week, that's your even when Daquan Jones comes back, which he will, and Daquan's been playing good football leading into the calf injury. I think he's your starting one tech. And I'm going to tell you this, Joe. I did not imagine myself thinking Dion Walker could be a one tech in the NFL. I thought if he could give you third down one tech pass rushing ability, that was going to be a win for me.
Yeah.
I like what I've seen as a run defender at the one tech.
He's actually been a better run defender than he's been a pass rusher this
I
year.
know.
Like he had the
surprising
big play against Miami that led to helped lead to the Bernard interception.
The little pinky pick. Yep.
But mostly it's been the run defense. And what's really encouraging about that is they played him in some wider alignments, like a 2-I, even towards a 3. But now they're playing him a little bit more as a shade, and I think that speaks to where the growth is. I don't think it's not been perfect against the run. Like there's been some displacement issues, but he is making the splash plays, right? And that are kind of missing elsewhere, especially when you didn't have Ed Oliver for several games. And he certainly exceeded my expectations. I know I was with John. John and I have had a lot of conversations specifically about Dion Walker. And he's definitely exceeded expectations, and it looks like he's going to be a fixture for this defense. And I love the growth that he's had. I mean, remember, he got benched a couple games ago for I don't remember. Was it the Jets game? Whatever game it was.
It was the Jets game, yeah.
Where he was just wrong with his run fits. He was slow to process, but boy, since that moment, he's been stepping right. His technique has been right. And I've been really, really excited about that. And so him and Jackson Hawes right now are your redeeming players for this draft class, where your first round picks on IR, your second round picks on IR. Landon Jackson's just got on the field and doesn't look super sound. Hancock I thought he was really good on special teams this past week, but that's not going to get anyone excited. Dorian Strong looked like he was going to be something. Now you're concerned if he's ever going to play again with this neck thing, So
no kidding.
When you level that with the performance of the 24 draft class, it's like where's the missing pieces? It's kind of what the players are supposed to be. So I know we're only supposed to say positive things, but Dion Walker, it's been a nice
stud
piece. Yeah.
Stud.
I'd agree with a lot of what you said. Kincaid has definitely been awesome. And boy, I have a ball to spike on that. So we'll let that play out. But
I'll tell you, I'll serve up some crow on the Kincaid piece. I just, whether it was an unwillingness or an inability to feature him in the offense last year and a little bit towards the end of the rookie year, you saw it. But for me, Joe, you looked at him standing at training camp and I said, that's Dalton Kincaid? I mean, the back, the legs, they looked bigger. Like he spent time in the weight room this year. And I think it's paid off for him because the willingness to block should lead to more opportunities. Where my biggest complaint is he's not playing enough right now. And listen, I like Dawson Knox. I know what they try to do with him, and obviously Spencer House. I'm going to do that a million times.
You're on that too? I thought I was the only one.
Dude, I do it.
It's Tom Pelissero, AP, Anthony Prohaska.
I'm accidentally getting like Jeremy and Joe to say it because I've said it like 3 times. Oh my God, I'm going to do it until he retires.
Like an average basketball center. He was just on my fantasy team every year because he was like my favorite player to get because he was like a very useful center for rotisserie fantasy basketball. And
so, Joe, this is going to be something that like my girlfriend will say something along the lines of like, couldn't you use your useless sports knowledge for like, finance or something? But like, it's just like this random stuff but Spencer House, Jackson Hawes, I don't necessarily feel like I need to see less of Jackson Hawes. I think he's an unbelievable blocker, and he gives you a little something more than I thought they would in the past game. I think this is more of a Dawson Knox conversation, to be honest with you, Joe. And I think I need to see less of him and more of Dalton Kincaid after the bye week. To me, his baseline should be about 60-65% of the snaps. Right now, he's seeing between like 38 and 50%.
Don't you think a lot of that's because of Knox? Because they're using Knox as the inline tight end, and that's freeing up Kincaid to be more of a space blocker, and then, of course, running his routes. I sort of think of those players as more complementary. I want more Kincaid, but it doesn't necessarily have to be less Knox because I think Knox frees up Kincaid to kind of do what he's optimized to do.
I think if you felt better about Khalil Shakir lining up on the perimeter more, that you could find more scenarios to get Dalton Kincaid in the game as like a slot receiver. I don't know how they do it, Joe. I don't know what kind of Jenga they need to play, but they need to find ways for Dalton to be. I just think right now he is their most consistent separator. I think he's been the most consistent hands they've had on offense.
Zero drops. Yeah, zero drops.
And down the field, he's been consistent. So that's where, to me, it's like maybe the conversation isn't about who you're using less of, but you just need to find more ways for Kincaid to be on the field, because I just, right now, he's earned it. And the offense did not look the same without him last week.
Yeah, and I'll close with this thought. The Bills are in their annual lull, right? And we know it happens every year, and we're all concerned, or maybe some people are optimistic about how they get out of it. The lull last year was the ugly losses back-to-back to Houston and Baltimore. And that Houston game was especially ugly. Who didn't they have? Khalil Shakir, right? That was their best receiver last year. And this game was kind of ugly for Josh. Not as ugly as Houston, I'll say that. And who did we have? Dalton Kincaid. So, look, Josh Allen was the NFL MVP. He was arguably the greatest Bills offense we've ever seen. It feels like 100 years ago, but it wasn't. And maybe that's what you cling to if you're wanting to be optimistic about what this team looks like down the stretch and what it can accomplish. But Nate, appreciate you, dude. Thanks for making this an annual tradition. I'll hit you up for the 10 most important players to the Buffalo Bills entering 2026. That's always a fun time. And appreciate what you do, man. Always fun to chat with you and see some of your emotion that you have. You know what I mean? Like, we have different approaches, but I like being able to collaborate and chat with you and, see where we land and see where we can have some good disagreements.
Always, Joe. Love the show. Keep up the great work, man. And look forward to chatting again soon. And, go Bills. I think that's an important thing. We all got to remember right now, we're all still fans. We all really enjoy this team. 2 weeks won't ruin it. I don't think they've lost 3 in a row.
Jeez.
I think when's the last time they lost 3 in a row? 2017?
It's been a minute, I'd have to assume.
Again, if I was a betting man, I would bet that the Bills will find a way to bounce back. 2 weeks to prepare for a Carolina team. May I say a plucky Carolina
They're going to be
team,
4-3. They're going to beat the Jets, man. They're going to be 4-3 hosting the Bills. They're going to be just like the Patriots and the Falcons. We have something. Isn't it the same draft class? Is it? No, Bryce Young was the year before. But same type of thing, like young quarterback, rookie deal, trying to prove himself. Here's the Bills. Make a statement. Boy, they better. I live in Charlotte. Can't have that, Nate.
I'll tell you, Joe. I'll be singing a different. If the Bills lose to Carolina,
it gets different. It gets real different.
Things start to take a more dramatic turn. So let's just hope. Yeah. Let's just hope we're not having that conversation Sunday night.
Nate, I like what you said. You said go Bills, and ultimately this is all rooted in a passionate fan base that wants the same thing, and we're anxious about getting it right. And so that fuels a lot of different spirits and attitudes and conversations. But ultimately, we want the same thing. We love this team, and we want the ultimate prize. And we know we got the quarterback and get it done. So I appreciate you kind of tying it together under that note. All right, folks. Thank you for being here. As always, we kindly ask that you share, subscribe, rate, and review. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills. And I look forward to catching up with you again real soon.